Well, hello everyone. My name is Rick Passek, the Fly Fish Fanatic, and welcome to my tying bench. I am going to today. I'm going to be tying a Canadian salmon pattern, one that's very popular here in Canada. I'm doing it for the Farlow show for Semperfli. I am pro team with Semperfli now for about a year, and I've been asked to do a Canadian style salmon fly for the Farlow show. So today I'll be tying the Undertaker with a twist. It's going to be my little twist on the Undertaker, but that's what it is. So here's what you're going to need. I will switch over to my other camera. So today in the vise, I've got a partridge of partridge of Redditch, low water in the size 2. I'm going to be using some Semperfli hollow tinsel in silver, 132. I'm going to be using some Semperfli floss, chartreuse. I'm going to be using some Semperfli floss in red. I'm going to be using some Semperfli ice dubbing in black. Then I will be using, now you can use ones that you can buy. This is locally harvested here in Alberta. It's black pheasant. So that's what I'll be using for the hackle, the collar actually. You can always just buy your own as well. And then I will be using some black deer hair, black bucktail. I like using, this is the very, very tip of the bucktail. I like using this stuff in here. It's a little bit softer and straighter than the other stuff, so that's what I'll be using. And I will be using some jungle cock, just a couple of eyes. Alrighty. Oh, and obviously I'll be using some Semperfli Nano Silk in black, 12-aught. So as always, we're gonna wax my thread. I'll be using a lot of wax for this fly. Especially once we get into the natural materials up front. You definitely want to make sure that they're held in. So just gonna start my Nano Silk. Gonna go to about the point of the hook. Okay, that's where I want to stop. I am going to add a piece of hollow tinsel. So I'm going to come back just a bit and just add it in. Offer it up to my side of the hook. And come back, roughly again, back to that point of the hook. Come back. Touching overlapping wraps. I want about 2 centimeters, something like that, worth of a tag here. Up and over. Tie that down. Come forward just a bit, and then I'm going to take my floss. I like just giving it a bit of a wet here, just so it doesn't fray on me. And then I will just offer it in on my side, pull it back. And I want to go right to where that silver was tied in. And I'm going to take the floss and carefully, so you don't fray it, just real close touching wraps, if not even overlapped, if you can. Again, about the same amount of a green butt section here. Come back. Tie that off. Snip off my floss. I'm just going to make sure it looks okay on your side, which it does. Then I'm going to take a piece of the red floss. Come back up. Tie that in nicely. Make sure that little fray there, if there's a bit of a fray, you can bring it back. Actually, I'll do that in a minute. I'll fix that in a minute here. So as you can see, I'm doing little overlapping wraps here. Now if you want to get really picky, you could burnish this after. I usually don't. I mean, if I was doing it for a tying competition, I probably would, but not just for a fishing fly. So now I'm going to nip that off nice and tight. And then you see I've got that little bit of a fray there. I'm just going to take my lighter and just give it a quick little. That'll give that a melt that away. Okay. So now I'm going to come back. I'm going to go back over top of that red a little bit. And I'm going to get a little bit more of the hollow tinsel, the silver. It's going to be my rib for my body section. I'm going to tie this in. It's one of my favorite flies. Actually, I've got it, you guys, I don't know if you guys will see that, but I've got it actually tattooed on my arm. This is one of my favorite salmon flies. So okay, so now I'm just going to put that out of the way. So now what I've done with the ice dub, because the ice dub is a nice long fiber, which I really like, the long fibers for like leeches and other things, but for this fly I don't want it so bushy, so I've actually cut it up. So it's all cut up into little pieces. You can actually do that in a coffee grinder if you like, but I just cut it up with a scissor. So just gonna wax my thread. This is where I start using wax quite a bit here. Okay, and I'll just start dubbing this on. Now you can dub this on any way you like. You can use a dubbing loop. You can use you can just hand dub like this. I like doing a little bit at a time so I can control the thickness of my body. Actually, I'm gonna put a little bit more wax on. Like I said, I just like doing a little bit at a time because I can control the thickness this way quite easily, right? Instead of having a long bit. And I don't want it too overly tight. I want a little bit of a looser body. A little bit more. About like that. Okay. If there's any really long ones, you can pull them out or snip them off or whatever. But then I will bring my tinsel through that. I want to try to keep it fairly evenly spaced. Usually 4 to 5 turns will do it. 3 in behind, 3 in front. Get that off. Just slick everything back. There you go. Okay. So now I will take my deer hair, which I've already put into my stacker. Let's make sure it's nicely stacked. There we go. Take it all out, and then I'm going to go through it and just hold it by the tips. And then get rid of all of that underfluff stuff that we don't want. Anything that's short, anything that's too much. I don't want a huge wing on this. So, okay, and I want to come back about to the bend of the hook, so about there. So I'm going to transfer that over. Cut it. Now make sure you're waxed here. This is definitely where you definitely want to have lots of wax on your tying thread here. Just put that forward, offer that up right there. You don't want to make too big of a head here. You want to leave a bit of room in the front for that taper, right? So, okay. Make sure that's sitting on there nice, which it is. Like that. Okay, so now I will take, now I can take this one This is a really long one from my locally harvested pheasant. So I could use that if I want a really long fiber coming back, which I really like actually. But it's not as black as this, right? So it depends what you like, what you're looking for here. So I'm going to actually use this one here. It's not quite as long. It's another one of the locally harvested ones, but it's not quite as long as the other fiber. So we'll see how it looks. Just going to cut that off, and I'm going to tie this in by the butt and have the shiny side facing out. Okay, so I'm going to tie that in this way. Fold that stem back just to make sure it's all in there nicely. Then I'll take that stem and just cut that out. Bend my feather forward. Split it open. Grab my feather by the tip. Stroke all this material back and have it nicely stroked back as you go back. So quite often I'll end up putting 2 feathers on this. It depends on first of all, how the feather is that I have. Second of all, how thick I want it. I'll have a look. Let that go. Because I just got that very tip, I stroke that back with it. Building just a little bit of a nice little head there. So, okay. Just fold that all back. Give that a bit of a spread. I want this a little bit on the fuzzy side. So now I'll take my brush and just give it just a brush out just to make sure it's laying the way I like. Okay. I'll take a jungle cock feather. And I want this laying with the wing, not along the body. I want it laying with the wing. So as on the same angle as the wing is. There. I'm just going to double check my length. It's about good right there. So I will just that'll do right there. Just hold that again. And like I said, I want it the same angle as the wing. I don't want it alongside the body. There we go. There we go. So I'll nip those off. I'm just going to finish building a little bit of a head. Then my final, I like taking a little bit of the ice dubbing, just a tiny little bit of this ice dubbing in along. It might actually have been too much. And just put a little of ice dub over top. I know it kind of defeats the purpose of the jungle cock, but I really like having it in there. And then I'll just do a couple of tight wraps. Stroke that all back. Build a little bit of a head. Then what I like to do is just take my Velcro and just give it a bit of a pull out. Okay, once that's all good, now you just finished a little bit of a head here. Good. My whip finisher. nice and tight. Cut that off. Make sure that's all laying nicely. Okay. And then I like taking a little bit of Gulf Thin Mint. Just making sure that goes all the way around. Hitting it with the UV light. And that is it. That's the finished fly. So this is my version of the Undertaker. And like I said, this one here, you can, it kind of moved on me a little bit, but you want that more in line with the wing. So, alrighty. Well, I hope you guys liked that one, and hopefully you guys are having a good time at the Farlow show and are looking at the new Semperfli products. Yeah. Hopefully everything is good. So tight lines, everybody, and have fun.